Florian, thank you so much for coming to Belgrade and doing this interview. Honestly, it's very nice to meet you because I've seen you on Fiverr in the search, offering services. We are offering actually similar services. So, it's been interesting to hear your story from your perspective, and excited to have you. So let's start with first how did you start on Fiverr? Like, why Fiverr? And just tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yes, firstly, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here, to meet you and see all of the office and how you work here. So my Fiverr journey started, it was back in the year 2017. It was the first time I discovered Fiverr. I was like 15, 16 years old, and the first gig I offered was the time was Fortnite was really in the hype, in the trend, and I was really into making like intros, like animated intros, and I offered, because of the hype, a Fortnite intro gig, and it was the time when I made my first $5 on the platform. The intro took me like 16 hours to make, but it showed me that the platform works, and yeah, that's how I first got into touch with it.
Did you start so you went on Fiverr, but did you like try something else like Upwork or any other platforms? Or like why like Fiverr exactly? Did you just search it online or?
So I don't remember exactly how I found this platform. I think it could be some advertisement or something, but I only knew Fiverr at this point. I didn't know that other freelancing platform exists. Back in the day, I didn't even understand the concept like freelancing at all, so it was pretty new for me. But I really liked Fiverr, the concept that you just put a gig on there, and that people will find you on the platform, and you don't have to like outreach to other people, which made it for me really easy to get into this like new world of working online.
So basically a Fortnite gig, right? It took you many hours. You probably hated it, I don't know, afterwards, right? So how is the journey went afterwards? Like because now you're doing social media marketing, design, how it's eventually evolved into that niche?
Yeah, so after realizing that it's too much time and too less money to like make these intros, I put it back and I focused on other things. And then one day I started I saw some Instagram pages, like anonymous Instagram pages in different niches, and it got me really interested. And at this time I was really interested in fashion, and then I started my own fashion Instagram page, and after 1-2 months I got like 5,000-10,000 followers, and I thought, okay, this really works, and I kept on pushing there, and this page now has like 150,000 followers. And then I was selling shoutouts also on this page. And I thought, how could I extend, like make more shoutouts, get more revenue? And then I got back to Fiverr, and I thought, okay, maybe I can offer like shoutouts for this specific page on Fiverr. But I quickly noticed that there is no demand for it. And that was the point where I was looking at Fiverr again and see what else could I offer maybe to make some extra money. And that was the point where I scrolled through social media marketing, because I come from the Instagram perspective. And then I found your profile, and I saw you offer organic growth. And I thought, oh, it's exactly that what I did to grow this page. And I thought, yeah, maybe I just try it as well. And I remember when I started out, I was just looking at your profile, like the picture, the description, copying it like one by one, maybe changing a few points. Offering a lower price, and yeah, then after some time, like a few months, I got the first order. I saw that the concept works, the client was satisfied. Back in the day I was doing everything manually on my phone, so it was also time consuming, but
yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because, what you said, and when I was on Fiverr too, I also looked at some other people and I was like, okay, this person has, X amount of orders in queue, and I was like, wow, he's doing this, I mean, maybe I can also try. So I think that's what always makes it interesting for us when we see these results that are like actually true, like they're on the platform. We want to also maybe try to, do better or try to do something similar. So, I mean, Thanks for mentioning, of course, I mean, I'm happy to hear it because, it's obviously leaves a good mark that you actually, this got inspired you to start as well. And the Instagram growth service, as we know, it's always tricky. It can change things, but I feel like that's the beauty of Fiverr because you have so many variety of ways to offer things. So how eventually, because you start with Instagram growth, but now obviously you're doing like more of like a content creation, management. So how this idea evolved? Why you didn't continue with like, let's say, only growth? Why you started to expand to the other place?
Yeah, so because you mentioned the orders in queue, I was like looking at your orders in queue, and it was like mind-blowing how you can manage all of it. Yeah. And I quickly noticed like after 10 orders in queue, it's not possible to keep up with the work. Also like the growth is tricky and so on. But at the same time, like my brother runs a social recruiting agency. Like it's an agency where you look for other companies for employees. And I worked with him in this company. And there I learned also skills like designing ads, running social media campaigns, and also like creating content. And then also I thought I could extend my portfolio. I also saw that you offered a social media post gig, and I thought, okay, maybe I can try it as well. And then I started doing it, and it also like got some good attraction. I saw it worked, and then I added piece by piece a new gig, like first the content creation, and then the ad designs, and also like the setup for Facebook campaigns. And
yeah, did you learn this skill before, like the design skill, because you're creating like content, and I mean your designs are really impressive. How, like, did you learn this, or you just went I don't know, you learn as you go, or how eventually you build that skill?
Yeah, so it also started like back the time where I was creating this Instagram page. I also got involved into dropshipping with my brother.
Okay.
And there we had to like make some advertisements, so we could promote the products. And that's where I first got into touch with like Photoshop, graphic design. Of course, the dropshipping was a big mistake, and it wasn't working really well. So we really cut it off fast. But that's where I had the first touching points with the like graphic design. And over the time, I got more interested in it, got more involved, like tried a few different things. Then I discovered Canva, and that's where it all started. Like I had an education on it or something, but I just did it in my free time. And the more I did it, the more I learned. Like it's a consistent progress. The more you train, the better you get at it. And yeah, that's when I realized, okay, maybe I can sell it for other companies as well.
Yeah, but you also have the passion for design, so you're not just doing it because you probably like actually enjoy this process, right? Like,
yes.
I mean, because I don't think it's, if you see that, okay, you can make X amount of dollars in the design and you just do it and you're like forcing yourself, I don't think you can achieve the same success versus when you're actually like passionate about the process.
Yes, exactly. Like I would also design if I would get no money for it, just because I love this process, the visual elements. It's something, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's just a big passion for it.
Nice. So until now, like today, how much your Fiverr profile, always this question with how much are you making, like, if you're comfortable saying, like, how much currently your Fiverr profile brings you, like, on a monthly basis? So just on Fiverr.
So, like, the whole Fiverr account brought in, like, it's almost at $50,000. And on average, it's like $2,000 to $4,000. Like, the highest month was a bit over $4,000. But it was also a bit tricky because I was doing this Fiverr business next to my studies. So there was always a limit on my time I could put into the work. For me, it was important to finish studies first, like keep the focus on this. And now that I finished my studies last year, I have more and more time, so I can get, now I'm focusing more on it. But also there's this one part on Fiverr business, but I'm also trying to get more and more clients since also last year.
Yeah, yeah, we'll talk about that. I know you have some amazing stuff, and I think people will really, be interesting as well to hear. So you have 2 to 4K, right? I mean, that's like the average. I mean, I would say it's still amazing because your profile, it's still, I think it's still at the kind of beginning. Like it's still you're just, let's say, I mean, you started earlier, 2017, but you maybe found yourself like recently. I mean, in terms of like maybe a year, right, or 2 years, 3 years, somewhere that. Yeah, so it's still pretty amazing. And do you do everything like by yourself? Do you have a team? Like how does it look like your processes?
Yeah, so from day one, I'm doing everything on my own. I have my girlfriend, which helps me like on some growth tasks. We still do it manually, like every day, putting the time into it. So it's like really time consuming for one person to do it. But I noticed that the more orders you get in queue, like 10 orders is really the top. You need to get a team otherwise. And for me, I have this problem that also like for the design tasks, it's hard for me to give it to someone else because I have this quality standards for myself, which I want to keep. So it's not easy for me, but I reached, I think, a certain point where it's hard to keep it alone without growing. Like I feel like I reached a kind of ceiling, but it's also due to like the pricing on Fiverr. It's compared to outside of Fiverr, for example, it's kept to stay competitive. And for this, it makes me really hard to like scale also with the team. Like you need to really have really good systems in place so you can work really efficient. And that's a big problem I still need to face.
Do you see like, because, besides Fiverr, we can mention you also have an X account, which is formerly Twitter account. Yes. And you signed up just in January, right, for X or December, like recently. And I saw like you followed me, like I followed you back. I was like, okay, let's see what Florian's gonna do. And then at some point, just recently, like maybe a week or 2 weeks or I don't know, somewhere in that time, I'm seeing that you're getting like thousands of views on your tweets and tens of thousands of views. Like some of your, I think highest is like 30,000 plus, right, views. Like let's talk a little bit about like how did it happen eventually? Like I don't know, because people are growing their socials, like for years and they're struggling, but you just kind of like came on Twitter, on X, and started to post tweets, and suddenly you're getting like so much attention. Like what do you think it's working there? Like how it happened?
Yeah, so I got on Twitter like already like 2 years ago, but I was never posting on there. And the main reason I got into there, there was this crypto hype and I was interested. But then I slowly saw in my feed like this design post, and then I realized there's a big design bubble on Twitter. Like they're posting about their designs, mainly web designs, but also graphic, visual designs, and so on. And I feel like the designs on Twitter are at a really high standard. Like it really got me into it. And recently I thought, why shouldn't I try it myself, like designing something or share some client work? And I started doing it. And then I found that if I create some concepts, which I share on Twitter, like in a specific kind of style, they just get a lot of traction. And that's what I'm doing right now. So.
Yeah, because people are always like, when like marketers, social media marketers, they say, okay, you need to have like engaging caption, grabs attention, hooks, call to, like, there's so much like strategy behind it. Like you need to have, for example, when you record, let's say a reel, you need to like also have some hooks. You need to tell them the most important part at the end of the video so they can keep watching you. But I don't know, you just came on X and you just started posting these like designs, right? Like the actual designs you do, and you're just like new design for this type of business or for SaaS, and then people are just like supporting you so much, like great job. It's like, what do you think eventually caused? Is it because like I don't know, the design is such a big niche, or do you think you just I don't know, is it maybe the secret is like you should not think about it too much, just share your stuff and you find your audience, or how do you think it works?
So I think overall that the design niche, the people there are really friendly people and they engage a lot with each other. So that definitely helps to compared to other niches, it's harder to grow in my opinion. But what I did at the start was like when I had 0 followers, I had 0 views, and I could post my work and it wouldn't go viral, for example. But at the start, I was just focusing on making new connections, like interacting with other people, commenting on their posts, like make real connections with real people. And then when I made new connections, new friends, I would say, the designs got there was this point where they took off, because of all the people I made the connections with. And yeah, so I think it's on the one side the space, like the people are so friendly there and really nice and supporting each other, but also like doing some growth at the start, I would say, like connecting with other people. And then it's just really posting, like designing some concept and posting it. Not think too much about it. Like I just use one short line, like new SaaS design, a new ad design for this SaaS company, for example. And then like 6 posts, 6 social media ad designs, and it like gets.
Yeah. Where do you do most of your designs right now? Are you using like Photoshop, Canva, where it happens most, or Figma, or?
Yes, so for this Twitter designs, I only use Figma. For like other social media designs, Canva is great because they have a lot of good templates. But for this Twitter space, I feel like you really need to design in details, and that's, in my opinion, you can do it best in Figma. So, and there's all of these designers on Twitter or X are using the Figma.
Yeah.
And it's really cool too.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's really inspiring, and I mean, I hope, because I'm always happy for you in terms of, and that's why I was also excited, I was like, okay, let's talk about that, let's, see. So I think you should definitely continue because it has so much potential, but at some point, maybe, you should not maybe focus too much on the number of views, because then it can get in your head, and you're like, oh, this one is not getting any views, this is not going to work. I think you should still stay consistent, because maybe you got, let's say, as we like to say, like a little bit lucky, which is good. I mean, it needs to happen at some point. Like I was lucky many times, and but for some people it might take a little bit longer, right? It might take maybe like a few months before they started to see these results. So I think it's important. Let's talk a little bit about, so all of these views. I'm really curious, how does it affected your business in terms of like, are you seeing more leads? Because, for example, in your X, you're not bringing them to Fiverr. You just have like this, like a call, schedule a call, right? So are you getting leads? Are you getting like clients from just the X?
Yeah, so when my first post also went viral, I already got the like first few inquiries. I would say like I'm active on Twitter for like 2 months now. And in total, I got like 10 to 20 leads, I would say, but it's consistently like 3 new leads a week, for example.
The leads, you mean they schedule a call, or they just send you like a message like, hey, Florian, maybe?
Yeah, they send a message, so it's, I would say, cold lead I would say. But still inbound, so really good in my opinion. And from this, I converted already like 2 low ticket and 1 high ticket client, I would say. So in my opinion, it showed me that this concept really works. So at first, when the post went viral, of course, only other designers are liking your posts and seeing it. And then you might be thinking, okay, I don't want to attract other designers. It's not the audience I won't get money from it. But there are also some other businesses who see your posts, and these people are then often interested to work with you and will send you a message or book a call.
It's a good point, because the same happens like with this channel, my channel on YouTube. Like I have a lot of people, a lot of sellers that are watching, a lot of freelancers, and they're like curious about the Fiverr journey. But then at some point there are always potential buyers who are watching maybe too. They can be agency owners. They don't need to be necessary like the actual, like let's say, small business, but they can have an agency, for example, and they can still be contacting you or me and work on the agency. So I think that's like always the good point you mentioned, that yes, you'll get designers or market freelancers, but don't worry, because there are probably also those bigger players, like buyers, who are like just watching behind the scenes, and then at some point they just go and contact you. So I feel like this is also a great way to, you know, just kind of like getting those buyers. So okay, what do you think now? So you have X, it's going well, you're not bringing people to Fiverr, and then you have your Fiverr. So are you thinking that at some point the clients you have on X is gonna like surpass your Fiverr business? Like, what do you see as, because now it looks like you have those two plates that you're trying to. What do you think on that? Are you planning maybe to bring them to Fiverr, or do you want to build maybe those like two separate directions?
Yeah, so now at this point, it's already like that the clients outside of Fiverr surpassed the revenue of the clients on Fiverr.
Already surpassed?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So I think like, I mean, Fiverr still gets in some good leads, but I feel like because of the pricing on Fiverr, it's hard to stay competitive. Like, you can't charge higher prices, you will just get like, I think it will get no leads if I set higher prices. So I feel like there's more potential outside, in my opinion, but I still want to keep on this Fiverr journey because it's still some good revenue, and what I really love about Fiverr is like the progress you see. Like you have this, it's like comparing with other sellers and seeing the dashboard, like the numbers and so on. Just it makes it really nice to like see the progress and work on this profile.
Yeah, I think it's good you mentioned, because, you know, for example, for me, like, we're also getting clients who are spending like 600 plus, like even sometimes 1,000 if they go for like a big package for content, for growth. So, and then, for example, I had before interview with Alec, and he's like, you know, he's closing like 2,000, 3,000, like 4,000 deals. So I think it's really, when we are on this journey, sometimes we might not like, for example, you see that Fiverr might be bringing you smaller projects, but maybe this can also change in the future. But the good thing about it is that you're trying to not like put all the eggs in one basket. At least you're building your personal brand on X, because, you know, if anything happens, and I hope nothing happens, but, you know, we're always at risk. It can happen to me, it can happen to any seller, but you will still have this presence on X, that you have the full control on it. So I think that is really important. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned Natalia, she's helping you, and, you know, I think it's great when you can bring your, you know, loved ones and, you know, someone. Of course, you always have to establish this connection, but what do you think, like, your plans now? Are you thinking, because you cannot handle X amount of projects, like, you're still going to hit your ceiling. Maybe you're thinking to hire someone now, or like, I don't know, is it going to be plans for 2025?
Yeah, so what also makes me scared of hiring people is like, when you're self-employed, you never know like how many customers you will have next month, and for this it makes me hard to plan. Like, can I still pay an employee and so on? But yeah, so that's why I focus now. Try to like replace the lowest budget clients, I would say, with more the higher budget ones. So it's more sustainable. It's
not, I know it's not easy, because I had that feeling as well, and even now, especially when we need to hire someone, like, let's say, another designer, we need to make sure that designer has the work, you know, has that sort of volume. Otherwise, because at one point, for example, in the end of December, you know, the Christmas and businesses are more quiet and this time, and at one point, like, of those 3 designers they had like no work, you know, to do. And it was also stressful for me. I mean, thankfully we have other parts of revenue coming from other services, but it was also a bit stressful, because like, okay, what's gonna happen? And essentially, like, what we did is that we tried, they were working on things that good for us, for example, improving the system, coming up with new, like, let's say, designs that we can maybe implement in the future projects, and then we just gave them like also a week off just to, you know, to disconnect. But I agree with you, but I think at some point you need to take that, maybe a risk, but you should hire someone that will, you know, what that person will do. Because if you just hire someone, just, you know, okay, you will do today this, you will do today tomorrow that, if you don't have a proper system, clear needs, then it can can be also hit you hard. So I think at some point you should maybe try to take a risk and finding someone.
Yeah, that's also a big problem. Like right now, I would say my system and the processes are a bit messy. Like there's no clear path for some tasks how it should be done. And what I also want to do is like I want to try to like automate some tasks which are just repeated, which are just often repeated, like creating files, for example, or client onboarding, like to make these processes more efficient. And then once this is optimized, then I would like to put in the people who can work in the system then.
Yeah, and I talked with Alec about as well Design Joy.
Yes.
I mean, this sort of like a subscription kind of like service. Do you eventually like see yourself maybe going in that direction, like in the future, or maybe you still want to, because some people just prefer to be like solo, and some people prefer like build a team. Maybe that's the Design Joy direction where you're just like one person, you're charging, I don't know, 5,000 per month. You have X amount of requests that the buyer can make. I don't know. What do you think about this model?
Yeah, I think this model is really cool. Like having this these requests, like having always one active request and a backlog, for example. And it's also the direction I want to go with the Twitter profile, like outside of Fiverr, to have more like this clients which can have the active requests. And I think it's really inspiring also to be just a one-man agency, because in my opinion, it's I like the peace to know like you don't need to worry about like having to pay salaries for employees and hearing a lot of stories. Yeah, they need to fire people and so on. But I think at some point you can get really get capped, limited. Like if you're just a one-man agency, you always have to show up and do the work because nobody else is like in the company. So especially if you like get sick or something or want to go on holiday, it's like you always have to work in there. So I don't know if it's something for me. I thought about it, but this is like in the conflict of interest.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I think you have to take, I mean, you have positives and negatives, because for me, for example, I really need to have someone that will possibly replace me in some way, because like you said, if you get sick and stuff, and I've been doing this, thing for like 8+ years. So I also had a time where like I was inspired by Gary Vee and I was like, let's build a team. And then suddenly I got hit with like Instagram, and I had to like also let go most of the people. And now we're like scaling again with the team, but we're doing it maybe more like properly in terms of like calculating our costs and what we can provide to a person. But I think it's good to have a team. You just have to be maybe like kind of like go maybe slower and have someone who will help you, because I'm sure there will be a lot of people who are even watching now who will be like, okay, like maybe I could help Florian, like it will be maybe more secure to go with you because they see you as they can like trust you, and maybe they can be just a good help, because there are a lot of people like that too. They're maybe even more afraid to go into this freelancing space. Like we have our designers as well, and I always have these calls with them. I'm like, okay, well, why don't you do this on your own, like freelancing? And then they say, oh, because I can make X amount of money, but then I can make zero, and I always feel this pressure and stress. And some of them just don't want to do communication with clients or talk. So maybe they can be a good help for you, and you can provide them like as well an opportunity.
If there's some designers out there, feel free to contact me. I can need help.
Yeah.
But that's also a problem, I think, because on Fiverr, 90% of my clients are like German speaking. And for me, that's why it's really hard to like find designers like also German speaking ones. Because when the content, for example, it should be in German then. And that's a problem, I would say, which makes it harder to like find good team members. But still, yeah, it's in the long term, it's definitely a good plan to.
Yeah. We also get clients on Fiverr like German speaking, like Spanish, and they're like, "Can you create content in German?" And I think we tried. I mean, we tried to take some projects, but eventually it's also not sustainable. Even though the buyers are like, "It's okay, you can create, I will translate," but no, this is if you don't speak that language. And your team doesn't as well know the language, it's really hard to just rely on ChatGPT, because there are just some things that I mean, eventually it's probably going to be messier when you will like deliver this project and you're going to have so many changes. Okay, so you have X, you have Fiverr. Let's come back to Fiverr and just talk some things about maybe challenges, maybe some things you're not so happy about Fiverr. Maybe you want some things for Fiverr to change. What is you think are most annoying things on Fiverr from your perspective?
Yeah. So one thing you mentioned in another interview was like that. You said you have no intro calls at all. I mean, it's not a problem on the platform Fiverr, but it's like a problem in my business, I would say, because I feel like most of the clients I work with always want to have an intro call at the start of the work before, and it's always time consuming, and it makes it hard to have good processes. But I think it's also important to have these calls to get this like connection. But it's something which I wish could be more like more efficient. But it's just in terms of my own business, how it works. But yeah.
So you prefer to have less no calls at all, or you prefer to have like actually calls? So what is the like? Is it because on Fiverr you have this, people want to get on the calls, right? So like, do you just want to avoid that, or is it the opposite? You want to have more calls with potential?
I think calls are important to build that connection as well. But I don't think it's like the most efficient way, and so I would prefer to have less calls. But it's like also important, so it's a kind of a conflict of interest. But yeah, I would prefer to like have better systems, for example, where I don't need this onboarding calls. Yeah, that's something which could be improved.
Yeah, I think you should just tell them like, so because I have a lot of messages like that who wants to do calls. I say, sorry, I don't do calls. So I'm just like being open because for me, I thought about, okay, maybe I can have my team member jump on the calls. But I also think, especially for, and I think calls are great, but for the services, let's say that I offer, I don't think there is a need for that. Like I can actually, that's why I send them the video that I have it like on YouTube, private. I send them unlisted link to the video because you can actually share links on Fiverr, like YouTube, Vimeo as well. And then they can watch the video. They can watch the video and they will actually understand everything they want to understand. So I'm just being like straightforward. So maybe you should think about like either like record this kind of a video where you explain them, and maybe it can be like a loom, you know, you use like a mirror, you know, and you just break down exactly like, okay, this is what I do, this is my examples, I don't do this, I do that, you know, so like this they also have clear expectations, because at the end, I don't know, I think the video analysis might convert even better than the call, because on the call they like be like, you know, okay, you know, what is this, what is that. So yeah, maybe you should kind of like restructure some of your processes, because that can be, I think, avoided for sure. But if you're a pro seller, they have this option that they say send a message for intro calls, like free, like this seller might offer a free intro calls. So, but again, I say I don't do calls and I send the video. What else? So this is one thing. What is also maybe you wish Fiverr will change, or something that they will do differently?
So what I struggle with also is like the success score, for example, because it affects your reach on Fiverr, and for me sometimes it's hard to see like where the problem is, because I have like the success score tab there, and it says like negative impact on some kind of point, which I don't even understand why it is like this. So I wish I had some better like view into that, like also how clients would rate or maybe there is this private feedback as well. I mean, there's a reason why it's private, but like have a better understanding of why some how to say factors work like they work, so you can better improve the reach to be more consistent on the orders, for example.
What is your success score now?
And currently, so it was all the time at 9, but like 1 or 2 months ago I dropped it to 8.
Okay.
But there is a problem with 1 gig, 1 or 2, which lowers the standard a lot. but still on the good gigs it says like strong positive impact on this,
Yeah.
but
I think it's, you know, when Fiverr did the success score, they tried to like show how your gigs are, you know, kind of ranked and affects it as well. But I think it raises even more questions, you know, for sellers. They're like even more confused. From my perspective, I mean, my gigs, like, I mean, you've seen as well earlier, like it has 10 and then one gig is 9, but it's always been 9, like for a long time. But overall, my as well is 10 success score. But honestly, like, you know, when people ask me, how do I improve success score? How do you do that? You know, I mean, only Fiverr will know. Maybe they don't even know. I don't know. You know, it's kind of like really tricky one. Because I think you need to have some volume of orders that are coming to you, that you are delivering, you are like just kind of like this, like a constant flow, because we're getting like 8, 10, 15 new orders every single day. And I think because of this volume, the success score is more stable versus than when you have like some days you have an order, some days you don't have an order. So maybe that affects, I'm not sure, but at some point I think because you're still kind of like in this sort of like a tough, like a transition period, because you're like level 2 now, right? So you're still kind of like going your way to the top rated seller. So I feel this journey can be very challenging as well. And because when I was at that stage, I was like wanting to quit Fiverr, but I think you should just continue. You should like, you know, because X worked well for you relatively fast, which is good. But the Fiverr, I think it can be bringing you a lot more in the future. But now it's like you maybe have to go through this challenge. So yeah, don't stop Fiverr.
But that's also something which annoys me a bit. Is like there are only a certain amount of top-rated sellers in, for example, one category, and so they're not accepting new ones. And the same is for pro seller. So I feel like I don't know when or if it happens that I will be promoted from level 2 seller to top rated seller, because I have been like a level 2 seller for like 1 year, I think, and still like I fulfill the criteria to be a top rated seller, but like they have so many, I think, that they can't take new ones.
I think this is something new as well. I heard that they're limiting. I'm not sure exactly. That's why I mentioned earlier you should maybe get a success manager. You know, because I mean, okay, everyone is different. Some people might find it useful, some people might not find it as useful. But I think that's the thing, that you have this sort of like a direct contact with actually someone at Fiverr, and that's what the Seller Plus gives you, the success manager. And I think it's definitely worth it. At least you can just kind of like have this clear path of how you can become top rate seller, and he or she will actually answer to you like, okay, Florian, you're this, and maybe they can essentially kind of like I don't know if they can like, let's say, push your application, but at least they can tell you like maybe a bit more clear, like, okay, you know, where you should go. So I think you should consider it, because for me it helped me before, especially when I had these like questions and about becoming pro, you know, top rate seller. So it's good. So just maybe you know, think about it, and I think it can be more clear.
I will definitely look into it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So something else about Fiverr you don't like, or?
Yeah, they're always the same things. Like we talked about it, like not being able to cancel an order after when there are only 10 days left, I think, for delivering
subscription order.
Yeah, a subscription orders.
Okay.
Yeah. Like there are a few things which are like are not clear for me, so
yeah,
which could be improved, but
yeah, for subscriptions the same. I mean, I'm always a little bit upset because you know, like I see you have 10 days, and I'm like, what's the like, why 10 days? Why not 3 days or 2 days, 1 day? You know. So I think they should definitely change that. But my suggestion will be for you is that if you want the order, like subscription, to be cancelled, send it to support, try to explain, maybe send the message before to the buyer and show that the buyer actually also said, okay, I want to cancel, because the support is saying that the buyer can cancel, but in most of my cases, the buyer doesn't even know where to go and like cancel. So it also creates a little bit, you know, misunderstanding. So yeah, I agree that as well. I wish there will be more transparency on subscriptions, because I see clients sometimes they fail to renew the subscription, and I don't see this new order. For example, if it's like, I don't know, 11 of February 12, and it should renew, but it's not renewing, and sometimes we're not just exactly sure, and then the buyers will come, and then I will just have to send them a new offer, a subscription. But the other thing which I always talk is that they cannot accept subscription on the mobile app. That's something, you know, I don't know if you are seeing that as well. When I'm sending and they're looking from the app, it says like click on this link, and then they have to log in on their phone, like on the Safari or Chrome to Fiverr. So it's also a bit annoying. Okay, I think it's maybe enough for bad things. What are you think for people, because we don't want them to be like, okay, Fiverr is not good, and just, you know, they will go on X and then maybe they're not seeing success. What are some things you think are great on Fiverr? And okay, maybe there will be still more things for you to see and experience. But what do you think why it has a potential to be on Fiverr?
Yeah, because of the other things, I think it's complaining on a high level. So this is, of course, like a low compared to the positive impacts. And what I really appreciate about Fiverr is like that you don't have to do any outreach at all. Like you just set up your profile, and basically the clients will come to you. So I think this is something which is really cool. Like they're doing the marketing for you, and that's why I think it's also okay for like as a seller to give that 20% commission, because I see it like as a marketing expense, because you don't have to run ads on your own. They are running their ads, and you can be discovered on the platform. So this is something which I really like about Fiverr. And also, what I've heard about other businesses is that they like have problems with that some companies are not paying their bills. On Fiverr, you have the system where the buyer has to pay upfront, and the Fiverr platform will keep the money. And once you really deliver the order, you will also get the money. So you're always ensured to get the money, and the clients will come to you. So I think this is a really cool concept, and I think it will definitely be more get bigger in the future as well for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, because this is I'm also hearing from other agencies, like, you know, people I know who run the agencies. It's really actually hard to make the client pay, you know, because I mean, we're all humans, you know, we can fall behind really quickly on bills and everything. But yeah, like this is actually a big problem, because they say, oh, I'm gonna pay you later, I'm gonna pay you later. And you know, it also happened to me sometimes. Like I have some, you know, let's say some bills, and I paid them late. I had to pay later because I, you know, forgot. I mean, we're all humans, we all can mistake. So this happens, of course. You know, I have a system, I have things that, well, we're never late on the employee payments, because this is always for me like a bigger, you know, a huge priority and a responsibility. But you know, some other things it can be, because you don't put it as a priority. But on Fiverr, it's true that you have to place an order for someone to actually start to work on your project. So this is also great. I agree. I mean, the outreach is a really big one, and that's what others are saying. I'm also agreeing with that. Okay, now we have Fiverr ads, so it's not 20, but it's also a little bit more that we have to spend. So I'm spending like 1,500 around that per month. I mean, that's the maximum we can spend. I think Fiverr is gonna soon, because now you can spend $50 per day maximum, but I think they will probably like remove that and do that more. So it will be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, eventually, you know, it's like 20%, but we have to pay for more things. So, but I guess, you know, it's, you know, still pays off, right? So.
Yeah, one another thing on Fiverr which I like is like that you have this one place where you have all the messages together. Like all the clients are managed through one platform, and you can like have everything in overview, and you can like have a team members work with you on Fiverr, which makes it simple to like have this one platform. Because outside of Fiverr, I have one client who is on Discord, another one is on Slack, for example. A few message me on WhatsApp, and through Fiverr you have this like everything in one platform, which makes it really easy and smooth to handle.
Yeah, I honestly love this. That's why my strategy is like a little bit different. I'm trying to bring people to Fiverr, because the way that we have the systems set up. So I have like people who are looking at the new orders, we're putting them in our system, and then I have like communication, inbox, order messages, and it's also clear for my team members because like this, their goal is to like make sure we clear all the inbox, we clear all the order messages like a few times per day. I think that's really efficient because now I have about 200, 250 orders, active orders. But I remember when I had like 800, you know, like and even more close to 900 in queue. I mean, it was still good to manage it on Fiverr. But again, I mean, it's going to be probably hard, you know, to get those design orders like that many because you definitely need to have a team. Okay, so what? Still want to ask you about your ex because this is always in my head as like, you know, you're crushing it and it's amazing because many people they're like not sure where to go with social media. So I think what do you think, let's say, can you achieve the same success like you have on X on Instagram, or like why do you choose X and not maybe post on Instagram or I don't know, YouTube? So what would you say, because people might be thinking like, okay, they don't like X or they not sure they like Instagram more. Like, is it important to be on X, or maybe you can still have a good success on other platforms?
So what I think, it heavily depends on your niche you're in. And for Twitter, like there's a big design bubble, a big design group. So I think it's the place to be for designers. But I also see some really good creators on Instagram, for example. But I think the content is a little bit different. And for just, like I think Twitter is the easiest to start with and has also the most potential. But as I said, it's just for designing. If you're different niches, I've heard that LinkedIn, for example, works really well. Also with outreach, you can get a lot of cool clients there. But I think it heavily depends on the niche, as I said.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
I definitely try to expand also. Like I started with Twitter, but I want to go into Instagram and LinkedIn as well and post the content there. But I need to find good systems to reconvert the...
Yeah, you need to try this platform
Yes.
Typefully. I think I shared it with you before, because you can just push them to your X, you push them to your LinkedIn at the same time, and you push them to the threads as well. Because I mean, obviously Instagram is a bit different than X, but threads maybe can also bring you some traffic. So because it will be still like you're creating one post, but then you're just, you know, it goes to multiple places. Maybe LinkedIn will also work. I think LinkedIn is a huge platform, and it's also a really important for many freelancers to consider, because it can be a big, like you said, outreach, and you can get a lot of leads, and you can also build a strong, like a personal brand from LinkedIn. So it seems like if you go, let's say next, you should go it as a personal brand, right? Or you should go maybe, because some of people thinking maybe I should go as a company. Do you think if you would go as your, let's say your company name on X, you'll see the same success or no? Or personal brand wins?
Yeah, so I see some agencies, but like not really successful, but these are just like, everyone has on Twitter their personal brand, and then they maybe have a separate profile for the agency, so they can redirect maybe possible clients. But the main point where the people get the most amount of reach is like the personal brand. And I think it gets more and more important. I think you also talk about it a lot, the personal brand. I think it gets in the future more and more important. And I think Twitter is the best place, or one of the best places, to build the personal brand. And I think that's also the way to go in the future.
Yeah, I think with a personal brand you can do anything, to be honest. And eventually, like, you know, I met you, and before that, I mean, yeah, I didn't know much about you because, you know, you're like, I just saw your amazing results on X and, you know, Fiverr, but I think you have a great personality, and it will be more amazing to see, you know, more updates, maybe a YouTube channel, maybe you can launch, I don't know, digital products in the future, right? Do you see it as a potential, like going into this education route, or you just want to keep in like services space?
Yeah, so I definitely think it's really interesting, and I will keep it in mind. But for now, the future, I think I don't want to focus on too many platforms. Like I want to keep the focus on one platform at first, maybe repurpose the content. But like it's hard to repurpose a Twitter post into a YouTube video. Like it's at some point in the future, yes, definitely would be interesting. But for now, I will keep doing what works now. And then when there is more time free, I will definitely also look into different platforms.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, you have to take a step at a time. So keep pushing, keep pushing that. Let's just kind of like sum up, and let's say, for example, for someone who is watching now and thinking, okay, if I should go X Fiverr, like what would you give them? Like, let's say, like a mini plan. So, for example, should they go on Fiverr, be there, or should they go? Like, what will be your suggestion? Let's say to you, if you would start now as in the marketing space, in services space, how would you go, let's say, like, in which direction?
I think it depends on the niche you're in, but I think in general, I would definitely start again with Fiverr, because I think it's the easiest way to get into the space and build a really good income there. But the thing about Fiverr is it takes some time. Like, it also took me like 3 months to get my first order, and it was just one order, and then maybe 3 months later the second one, and then it kind of started to snowball. But I think this is something which I would really do, like start on Fiverr. But if you're like in a design niche, for example, I would definitely also look into Twitter. But I think for all these platforms, it's really important to stay consistent. Like, I only saw the success on Twitter once I started consistently posting. And the same is for Fiverr. Like, you can't just make one order, then stop, forget about it, and then half a year later you go again there. You need to be consistent, be active, respond, and yeah. But I think if you have this mindset to be consistent, every platform could work for you. But as I said, it also depends on the niche. So
yeah, pick one platform, because many people think that they can dominate all. For me as well, I was an X, more consistent. I started in the summer, and then now I kind of stopped it. But I think I will resume, maybe with a bit different approach. We'll see. But I really love YouTube. Like, this is probably for me the main platform. I mean, Instagram is more of like a communication platform for me, because people send me message, we chat, and then eventually I have also clients that I push back to Fiverr. But I think, yeah, it's picking one platform and just sticking. But maybe, because what you said, you can wait for 3 months to get your first order on Fiverr. So maybe during those 3 months, they should like maybe start at the same time, like on Twitter or LinkedIn, right? I mean, they can be doing both and just building their brand.
For sure, yes. I mean, it also depends on your personal character. Like, if you like to talk a lot or explain things, like, then maybe YouTube is the right format for you.
Yeah.
Or like, and yeah, if you post on Twitter, you can for sure also post on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But I think every platform has its own potential, and it just depends on the niche and type of person you are.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Florian. So it's been it's been overwhelming, because we've been talking about this like interview. It's also your first, right, interview?
Yes.
Yeah. So it will be. I think a lot of people will find it really useful. How people can contact you? So where would you say your best place?
So it depends on what you would like to text me. But feel free to contact me on Twitter. My name is GrowFlow. The same is for Instagram and Fiverr. So
I will leave link in the description. So for your X, because this is the main platform as well. I will also put a Fiverr profile. So just if you go to Florian's Fiverr profile, just go and order. No need to. I mean, he's gonna do an amazing job. Well, of course, you need some questions first to ask. But anyways, we'll leave Fiverr, we'll leave X, so people can see and decide where they wanna contact you. I'm really hoping that you will kind of like this year to push this journey, because it's always inspiring, to meet people like you and to follow your progress as well. So, I hope we're probably gonna see each other, more often as well going forward. And I think it was really amazing.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation again, and I hope that we will see you sometime soon.
Yeah, great.